History's darkest chapters deserve to be remembered, not forgotten. These photographs preserve moments of unimaginable tragedy, ensuring we honor those who suffered. Subscribe to History Unveiled, where we preserve the past for future generations. Mullaghmore Harbor, Monday, August 27, 1979. Rescue workers lift an unidentified body from a small boat after explosion aboard fishing vessel killed Earl Mountbatten of Burma and 2 others. Irish Republican Army claimed responsibility. Terror reached British royalty on what should have been peaceful waters. Auschwitz-Birkenau, German-occupied Poland, May through June 1944. Selection of Hungarian Jews on the ramp during Holocaust's final phase. Nazi officers dividing arrivals with a gesture. Work or gas chamber. Industrial genocide operating at peak efficiency. Over 400,000 Hungarian Jews would be murdered here. Many of you learned about the Holocaust in school. Share what this means to you. New York City, Great Depression. Long bread lines stretching down the street. Hundreds waiting to be fed. America's economic collapse visible in desperate faces. Hunger in the land of plenty before substantial government relief programs existed. Another New York breadline. Another day of desperation. The absence of federal assistance forcing citizens to rely on charity. Economic catastrophe that your parents or grandparents likely lived through. Stories passed down through families about survival during those lean years. Across the Atlantic, genocide unfolded on a massive scale. Aleppo, 1921. Armenian genocide orphans. Children who survived systematic extermination that claimed 1.5 million lives. Lost families, stolen childhoods. Ottoman Empire's forgotten genocide captured in young faces. Nicosia, Cyprus, April 1975. March commemorating 50th anniversary of Armenian genocide. Survivors and descendants remembering the 1.5 million murdered. Memory as resistance against historical erasure. Some of you may remember these anniversary commemorations. The Armenian genocide was often overlooked in history books. Tell us what you know about this tragedy. 1853. Oldest known photograph of famine survivor. He worked as laborer on Devonshire Estate, Lismore, County Waterford. Ireland's Great Hunger etched into gaunt face. 1 million died, another million fled. Survivor carrying visible scars of starvation. At sea, the greatest maritime disaster in peacetime was approaching. Titanic lifeboat number 6. 16 survivors, 11 women, 6 men. Among them Miss Bowerman, Mrs. J.J. Brown, Mrs. Candy, Mrs. Rothschild. Quartermaster hitching at the oars. The fortunate few who escaped the unsinkable ship on that freezing April night. 1912. Cunard Lines Pier 54, New York, evening of April 18, 1912. Crowd gathered as Carpathia arrived with Titanic survivors aboard. Arrival delayed by bad weather at sea. Erroneous newspaper stories had created confusion about rescue numbers. Families waiting in agonizing uncertainty for news of loved ones. The Titanic disaster shocked the world. What stories did your family pass down about that night? 25 years later, the age of airships would end in flames. Lakehurst, New Jersey, May 6, 1937. German airship Hindenburg erupts in fire at mooring mast. Hydrogen igniting in seconds. 36 people died. The age of passenger airships ending in catastrophic blaze, witnessed by horrified crowds below. Hindenburg wreckage close-up. Photograph taken from the fin looking aft, showing where first explosion occurred. Twisted metal skeleton of what was once technological marvel. Dreams of luxury air travel consumed in 34 seconds. Decades later, invisible danger would require unimaginable sacrifice. Chernobyl, 1986. Liquidators clean roof of reactor number 3. Robots failed against extreme radiation. Humans became the solution. Some areas allowed only 40 seconds before workers absorbed lifetime's maximum radiation dose. Heroes who saved Europe by destroying themselves. Chernobyl reactor number 4 roof. Liquidators clearing radioactive debris, throwing it into reactor ruins to be covered by sarcophagus. Biological robots with only seconds to work. Grab debris, throw, retreat before radiation kills. Sacrifice measured in millisieverts and shortened lives. Chernobyl happened in your lifetime. Do you remember where you were when you heard the news? But the atomic age's horror began decades earlier, in August 1945. Hiroshima. Flash burns on steps of Sumitomo Bank Company. Human shadows permanently scorched into stone by atomic light. Bodies vaporized, leaving only their silhouettes. Nuclear shadows that will outlast civilization itself. Nagasaki atomic bomb victim. 14-year-old student photographed after blast. She likely passed away August 12, 1945, 3 days after bombing. Young life ended by radiation sickness. The bomb's slow cruelty following the initial flash. Victims of Nagasaki atomic bombing. Multiple casualties documented in single photograph. Japan's second nuclear devastation occurring just 3 days after Hiroshima. Over 70,000 killed instantly. Countless more dying slowly from radiation poisoning. Nature, too, brought devastation that changed landscapes forever. Stratford, Texas. Dust storm approaching across barren fields. Dust Bowl era, when drought and poor farming practices created ecological catastrophe. Topsoil carried away by wind, burying farms, destroying livelihoods across Great Plains. Cimarron County, Oklahoma. Farmer's son during Dust Bowl. Young face weathered by relentless dirt and drought. Childhood shaped by environmental disaster that your parents or grandparents witnessed. The dirty 30s that drove families west. Many families fled the Dust Bowl. Did your relatives experience this environmental tragedy? San Francisco, California, 1906. City smoldering after earthquake called the Frisco Quake. Photographed from Union Ferry Building Tower. Market Street between Sacramento and 3rd Streets in ruins. Over 3,000 dead, 80% of city destroyed. Earthquake and subsequent fires devastating what was once jewel of West Coast. London, December 29, 1940. German bombing during the Blitz. Dome of St. Paul's Cathedral visible through smoke from incendiary bombs. Symbol of British resilience standing amid devastation. Night after night of bombing that Londoners endured with remarkable courage. Some of you may remember these dark days. Industrial disasters left scars that endure for generations. Vikas Yadav, 19, and Aman Yadav, 17, brothers with muscular dystrophy, cared for by their mother at home, affected by toxic waste that seeped into groundwater, living victims of industrial negligence, facing short, painful lives. Chemical disasters human cost measured in children who will never grow old. Rector Street and Broadway. Photographer leaned from window with medium format camera, capturing moment before second plane's impact. September 11th, 2001. Split second before world changed forever. Many of you remember exactly where you were that morning. September 11th affected us all. Share your memories of that day. Challenger's solid rocket boosters, flying uncontrollably after external tank breakup, separated them from shuttle stack. January 28, 1986. Orbiter and tank remains leaving thin white trails as they fell toward Atlantic Ocean. 7 astronauts lost. Teacher Krista McAuliffe among them. Nation watched live as dream of space became nightmare. Disasters by rail, disease, and famine claimed millions more. Great train wreck of 1918. 2 passenger trains colliding head-on. Over 100 killed, hundreds more injured. Deadliest rail accident in American history. Communication failure leading to catastrophic meeting on single track. Holy Cross Cemetery, Philadelphia, October 21st through 24th, 1919. Seminarians from St. Charles Borromeo dig mass grave for flu pandemic victims. Photographer wrote in journal that steam shovels eventually had to be utilized, presumably because of vast number of bodies. Spanish flu killed 50 million worldwide. The Spanish flu pandemic shaped your parents' generation. What stories were passed down in your family? Across Europe and Asia, famine and displacement devastated populations. Kharkiv, 1933. Victims of famine photographed by engineer A. Wienerberger. From collection of Cardinal Theodore Initzer. Soviet Ukraine's Holodomor. Man-made famine killing millions. Stalin's policies turning breadbasket of Europe into graveyard. Genocide through starvation. Moscow, flood of 1908. Sofiaskaya embankment submerged. Photographers stood near former Balchik Street and Old Moskvoretsky Bridge. Nearest buildings later demolished for new bridge. Natural disaster overwhelming imperial capital. Moskva River swallowing streets and homes. St. Kilda Parliament on island of Herta. Men on either side of street forming community gathering. Remote Scottish archipelago where inhabitants developed unique way of life before final evacuation in 1930. Isolation creating distinctive culture that vanished when last residents departed. Walls divided nations. Families fled wars. Children suffered most. Berlin Wall. Over 60,000 attempts to cross. 5,000 people managed to escape through the wall. Estimated death toll of 136. Barrier dividing city, splitting families, killing those desperate for freedom. Some of you remember when this wall finally fell. Berlin Wall, 1989. People climbing over in front of sign reading attention. You are now leaving West Berlin with phrase, but how? Sprayed over it. Moment of liberation. Symbol of Cold War crumbling beneath feet of citizens reclaiming their city. The fall of the Berlin Wall marked the end of an era. Where were you when you heard the news? Royal Australian Air Force personnel with Korean War orphans. Children displaced by conflict that killed millions, left peninsula divided. Young lives rescued from war zone. Military personnel providing care amid devastation. War creating generations of separated families. Berlin, August 1945. Post-war German refugees overcrowd passenger train at destroyed Anhalter Bahnhof station. Photographed by American Margaret Burke White. Millions displaced by war's end. Infrastructure shattered. Populations moving in desperate search of home and safety. Brent Railway Station near Kingsbridge, Devon, 1940. Group of evacuees from Bristol arriving. Children sent to countryside escaping German bombing. Parents making heartbreaking choice to send children away for their safety. Operation Pied Piper relocating 3.5 million people. One photograph would turn public opinion against an entire war. Trang Bang, June 8, 1972. The terror of war. 9-year-old Kim Phuc running naked down road after South Vietnam Air Force napalm attack. Behind her, other children screaming. Single photograph turning American public opinion against war. The girl survived. Her burns became symbol of conflict's innocent victims. Famine and atomic devastation left landscapes of death. Ethiopia, 1973. Famine victims. Drought and political instability creating humanitarian catastrophe. Images shocking world into awareness. Hundreds of thousands dying from starvation while international community responded too slowly. Hiroshima Catholic Church ruins 1 year after atomic bomb. Photographed from top of newspaper building. One of 2 large structures left standing after blast. Faith's architecture surviving where everything else vanished. Stone walls enduring nuclear fire. Navy photographer documenting suffering and ruins from atomic bomb blast in Hiroshima, Japan. Victim lies among devastation. Human cost of nuclear age made visible. Photographer preserving evidence of weapon that changed warfare forever. Some of you were alive when this happened. These tragedies shaped the world we inherited. By remembering, we honor those who suffered and ensure their stories guide future generations. Subscribe to History Unveiled. The past must never be forgotten. Clinical pretense. Dachau concentration camp, Germany, 1944. Romani victim of Nazi experiments attempting to make seawater drinkable. Forced to consume only seawater until his body failed. Genocide conducted through pseudoscientific cruelty. These crimes led to modern medical ethics laws. Nurse with patients, location unknown. Care given in era when treatments remained limited and outcomes uncertain. Compassion offered where medicine could only comfort, not cure. University of Pennsylvania Medical School. First-year students in dissecting room of laboratory building. Young physicians learning anatomy through cadaver study. Death teaching the living how to preserve life. Battle of Bataan, January through April 1942. American and Filipino medical workers with Red Cross personnel treating wounded near front lines. Makeshift hospital wards established in jungle clearings. Fighting exhaustion, disease, Death while saving soldiers under fire. 1914. Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophia during their final visit. Hours later, bullets would ignite a world war. The arrest of Gavrilo Princip. The assassin captured moments after firing the shots heard around the world. Gavrilo Princip, 19 years old. Too young for execution. He survived failed suicide attempts. Tuberculosis claimed him in Terezin Fortress, April 1918. For years after the murder, that changed everything. Munich, August 2nd, 1914. A young Adolf Hitler stands in the crowd at Feldherrenhall. Germany declares war on Russia. One face among thousands, captured by Heinrich Hoffmann. Berlin, August 1st, 1914. A German officer reads the Kaiser's mobilization order. The crowd listens in silence. Within hours, Germany invades Luxembourg. Guerre de Paris-Est, August 2nd, 1914. Mobilized French soldiers board trains bound for the front. Families wave goodbye. Many would never return. Russian troops entrench during the invasion of East Prussia. The Eastern Front awakens. Winter approaches. The armies march toward collision. August 16th, 1914. Soldiers of the 11th Hussars Regiment arrive at Le Havre aboard ship. Britain's expeditionary force lands in France. Belgian troops defend